necessarily bring out the best in us, or
oh, she's dropped. She dropped off.
Oh dear.
Anybody else can hear us? Okay, so it's not us.
Yeah, I just like to say I'm in Barbados, by the way.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, she's
cool.
Shah's dropped off, so
Another
we'll wait for her
person.
to come on. Can someone else go forward? Charlene, the other
We have
Charlene,
Charlene
and
here.
Diana.
We have Diana. Yes, she's,
Okay.
she's
Can I just jump in while Charlene has been preoccupied trying to get herself done? I also have got no camera at the moment, so sorry guys,
not to
can't see
worry.
my face, but I'm in London. My name's Diana, and you ladies look beautiful, by the way, absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
That
thank you.
smile, Colleen, that smile, girl.
Trying to kind of keep it together.
Okay, one thing that I love about being single,
I know what she's gonna say.
I'm left alone in my bed at night. And I'm trying to keep it clean, ladies.
Yeah, okay.
It's a free.
Yeah,
It's free. Just
Yeah. Just being able to sleep in peace.
yeah.
And anything, if there's anything that I don't like about being single, it's probably moments of probably feeling supported and protected.
Yes. That's a good one.
protective.
That's a good one.
Yeah, feeling supported and protected. If that's probably the only thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a good one, Diana. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Shah, you're back with us.
Yay.
Yes, apologies. Something popped up and I accidentally clicked leave meeting. Sorry, apologies.
Oh, okay.
Instead of the other thing. Yeah, so yeah, as I was saying, peace of mind is I think for me is one of the greatest things. Yeah, I wake up happy every morning. I'm grateful, I pray, and I'm very centered and just content within myself. What I miss, I think I miss companionship. I miss especially being in my I'm not quite mid-40s, just under mid-40s. I do miss just being able to troubleshoot something with, or tell someone about your day, split some bills. That'll be nice. Being honest, that'll be really nice. If I need air in my tires, I think that I'm very independent, but I don't subscribe to that whole feminist, I'm an independent woman, don't need a man. Ready for my husband, have been for ages. And so, ready to submit to the right man.
There you go.
Capital letters. So yeah, that's pretty much what I miss.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thanks, Charlene. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And just Charlene, the other Charlene with the C.
Hi, Charlene.
Yeah. Are you sharing?
Charlene, are you sharing today?
No. Okay, no problem. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we've done our icebreaker. You need a brief introduction or
Brief introduction.
just in terms of, I think we kind of covered that.
I
part.
think we covered.
So what we'll do then, we'll go straight into the meat of this evening. Obviously, as you know, we wrote our book, Great Women of the Bible. I know most of you on this call would have purchased or have seen a copy. Even if you haven't, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, how we're planning to do the session, you will come away knowing Ruth and Esther a lot better. Hopefully we'll be also about the Bible in terms of how they're represented in the Bible and how we can utilize their experiences, their skills, their personalities in our lives as women, even in 2022 contemporary world, which the world is very different from the Bible, and I think it's a very different world from kind of what we've even known ourselves over the past two to 3 years. So Sherridean is going to take Ruth for our first discussion, and then I will take Esther afterwards. So whether or not, as I said, you've read the Bible or not, you may or may not be familiar with Ruth or Esther. So just in case persons are not familiar with the characters, we will give a kind of a little overview of each character first, and then go into the discussion segment. All right,
Okay.
so over to you, Sherry.
All right, so based on our book, we really focus on Ruth together with Naomi, because that chapter there talks about, you know, true friendship. And actually the first paragraph, we brought out the facts where it said it's so important for us as women to have a good circle, to have a good friend. In other words, you don't support this, I don't need anybody type of thing. But from a biblical point of view, God made us a social being. And facts has also shown that women who have good friendship, have strong friendship or network, they tend to be in better health. And always remember that it's God's will and plan. He said, I will keep you in perfect peace. He talks about good health. So you know God wants us to be in good health. Now, with this story of Ruth here, we see the importance of relationships, having good friendships. You know, so often we hear that people say, I don't need any friends, or people say, I don't have any. If you don't, you should be praying. If you don't, you should be asking God to open up my eyes so that I can be a good friend, you know? Because in this story here, we see how friendship really developed, how it really bonded. And it all started when Naomi's husband died. And according, forgive my pronunciation, Emelech, when he died, Naomi's husband died, well, she became a widow. But that wasn't the end of her sad story. Both her sons died. Now, Ruth was married to her son, so she also was a widow. So they had something going on there in common. There came a time when Naomi said to these two, you know what? My husband is dead. I have no other sons. You know, it's better you go back to your land, go back and marry. That's what she told them. And they wept, they cried about it. But then Oprah, the other one, she decided, you know what, I'm going back. But Ruth now, she said, wherever you go, I'm going. He said, your people will be my people and your God will be my God. So you see the bond there. In other words, her first priority wasn't to think, well, I got to find a man. No, she just said, I'm going with you. There was that connection in there, and that took priority at that given moment, you know. And so they went together, they moved to a new area, and they end up staying and living in Moab. Now, what happened? As they began their journey, it continues saying that, oh, it's covering the same point I just brought out, where this disconnection and this bond, and where you go. And you know what? I believe in singleness during that period, that's a good time to really know who your friends are. That's a good time to really develop your ability to become what? Friends, to demonstrate the love of God. Because don't forget, we're talking about love. Everything in life, it's surrounded and is dependent on the love of God. You can't love yourself. I don't see how you can like somebody else. Notice I would use the word like, much more love. You understand? So we have to start somewhere. And that is what I wanted to bring out at the very onstart. That because she wasn't desperate and looking for, claiming or getting a replacement, she was able to give herself enough time to heal. She was able to give herself enough time to connect with someone on a deeper level. And it's very important. And this is one lesson I have learned. Even though when you're married, you still need to have a good friend, a good girlfriend who you can talk, laugh, who you know can be a confidant. I don't think you should even go into marriage without that. You should have a structure in your life. Without it, something will always be missing. I can tell you that from experience. Right? So now that I have a cherished friend, I cherish some guys who are single or what, that isn't going to change. So you need to have that foundation so that wherever you go, you can build on that. So then here this, when they got to their new home in Bethlehem, it so happened, well, Ruth said, you know, I am going to the field. I'm going to look for something for us. And that's what I love about her, her kindness. She said, I am going to look. So she went to the field and she went to the right one. We don't believe in coincidence. And that is why it's so important to develop a close relationship with God. She mightn't say, God, we don't know. God, show me which field to go to. It could have been, she felt a nudging to go to this one. It could have been the first one, but she felt comfortable in her spirit. She went to this particular field. And when she went there, I mean, the guy was impressed. Something is different about her. Something is different about this young lady here. What makes us different from any other person or whatever? What makes us unique? And as you were saying, talking about, someone mentioned earlier about self-discovery. This is the season where you get to discover what makes you unique. Are you a creative person? Do you like your space? Do you like to be quiet? Do you like to go out a lot? How much of each do you like to do? What are your goals next 5 years? Why I'm saying so, because all of this interplay into who you feel comfortable with in the long run. So yeah, there she was on the field and she went back to Naomi and Naomi was like, wow, where you got all of this? And she described where she went. She described the man that she went to, whose field it was. And from time she mentioned Boaz, it hit her. She said, wait, he's supposed to be a distant relative. It's like, I know him. You know, I know him. And then she was saying, hey, but I think he is supposed to be the one who's supposed to carry on the tradition in her family, where you marry the next. And guess what? Naomi gave Ruth instructions. And this is another thing that is very important. How many of us can take instructions? Because you say, man, you too old, man. You don't know about these relationship thing. Oh, you're too old. You're not with it. You're not with it. But you know what Ruth said? Whatever you say, well, I'll do it. She told her how to prep for this guy then. She told her where to go. That's why she went there. And you know, that is quite... Someone is saying something? Yeah, so she knew. She followed instructions. Then in the night, the guy got up and is like, hey, who are you? What is this? And from time she identified herself, he knew. And not just knew, oh, okay, but he knew the type of person he was dealing with. And this is the next thing. Guys can pick up the type of person. You want people to be able to pick up the right vibes, whether it is female or male, you want them to have the right vibes. Because if you're a child of God, you want that light to shine through, correct? All right? And if you just want to be better as an individual, you want that to shine through. So he recognized that this was a woman, she was different, she was unique, she was very kind. And you know what he said? You took care of your mother-in-law. You took care of her. And I've heard about it. And that's what drew his attention to her. And the story goes on, and I want to monitor the time. Because of this now, there was a kind of connection being formed, right? And that's very important. What connects people to each other? What connects friends? What connects a male to a woman? Is it her kindness? Is it something that is unique about her? And I'll tell you something, the same gifting or the same thing you appreciate about yourself tends to be that attraction point. So often we say, oh, I don't like this mole on my nose.
Nice.
And, some people, thanks. Some people say, this is like an example, I don't like this mole in my nose. You understand? And then someone will come and tell you, oh, I love it. Or I should say, it's nice. You understand? So I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to cut it off. Because I remember at a certain point, the style was to have a mole on the face. I said, oh, I have it natural. You get what I'm saying? So I'm saying we have to, in our singleness, learn to embrace who we are and really love ourselves. I love me for my strengths, my weaknesses. I believe God, He will help me become better. But you know what? This is where I'm at. And this God who I'm serving, He loves me for who I am. So that therefore, when it comes to that time when you meet the guy, you don't have to flip personalities and try to be all of this and extra nice and do it. You know why? Because you could only do that for so long. Something will happen where he will irritate you and the other side of you will come out. So you might, so as I say, it's better you be real, and appreciate yourself and just be, so at that time you'll have a genuine moment. And I tell you this, when you can just be, it gives you the freedom now to really observe what is going on around you. And I'm sure Ruth observed Boaz because he was a very kind person. And you can tell from even the words he told her, yeah, you could stay here, you can make yourself comfortable and you'll be protected. No one can trouble you. He went to that extent. And then to put the story a little bit faster, there came the time when he discovered her at his feet and he said, in other words, who are you? She announced herself. She announced herself and, she said, I introduced herself. And then she announced what was her intention. Well, put it in summary. In other words, well, I'm related to, or I'm connected to Naomi. And as a result, I'm really looking for a guy. In other words, I'm looking for a guy, and then after he was like, yeah, but I like you too. Put it in my own language. But when you read it, from chapter 1 right on to 5, when you read it, it's like, yeah, I like you too. Let me check on this and wait, and let me go and check on this to see if I could make this thing legit. I deliberately say wait, because this is something we have to learn as women. You can like a guy. You can present yourself. I'm not saying, oh, this is me here. I am into you. I want you. And I'm just saying you are around. You make yourself, you're visible. Right? If opportunity comes up in a decent, orderly way, okay, yeah, I find you nice. You're quite a nice person. That's it. Oh, I'm in love with you. Ooh, not all of that. You just announce. You might be feeling really fantastic about him, but you just said, yes, the interest is there. Good. He then will confirm where he's at, because we cannot change a man. We cannot force a man to do anything. But he told her, wait, let me check on it. In other words, you only wait for someone who is intentional about what it is he's doing. You don't want to, of your own accord, go wait for somebody and you don't know who else he's talking with. You don't know, he's not even thinking about marriage at this point in time. You understand what I'm saying? So you don't go waiting, one day, you'll find yourself waiting 5 years, 3 years, or today he comes and dates you and then forget about you next couple of months. And then, I was just thinking about you 5 months after. Would you like to do something special? And then you say, yeah, because this is the guy you had liked. And you go out one more time and then another 5 months pass. And I'm saying that because I went through that. You don't want to be waiting for someone who has no intention for you and did not announce clearly what it is he is doing. But then he was so impressed with her. He was willing to do what it took, to make her part of his life. So he went on trying to inquire who's the next in line to legitimately take her as wife. Then when he found the guy, he said, oh, I'm glad I'm getting this land. I want this land, But when he heard that he had to marry Ruth as well, he said, no, I can't take this land. The land and her came together. So in essence, she was kind of rejected. Because from the time he wanted the land, but from the time he heard he would be responsible for Ruth, he backed out. And that's what happens sometimes in life with us. Sometimes people might reject us, or when they get to know us a little bit more, they step back. And I'm here to encourage you. Rejection is just God's way of protecting you, his protection, and also a redirection. Because he said no, that made the door open for Boaz with all his excitement to go and announce to the family, yes, I can go through to marry Ruth. And this is it, before I close down. And this is it about this whole story, especially when you go into chapter 4 and chapter 5. You'll realize that God reversed everything. When he came, everything was reversed. In other words, she lost her husband, she's getting another one. Ruth and Naomi, they were sad. Now, because of what is happening, they're glad. It so happened Both of them, when they got married, they had a son, Obed. And both Ruth, the Bible said, both Ruth and Naomi rejoiced. Naomi had a grandson now to take care of. She was his nurse. And not only that, after Obed came Jesse. Through the generation, after Jesse came David. After David came Jesus. In other words, her whole movement, everything she went through was all part of a particular purpose. That's where I will leave you. It was all part of a particular purpose. So as we wait on God, learn to appreciate who we are. Believe in who we are. You don't have to force, you don't have to beg anyone for anything. He will have that natural inclination towards you. When he comes into your life, he should be able to bless you and elevate you. And one word I forget to add, and that is waiting. Because even though he knew he was interested in her, she had to wait. Even though he wanted to make times right, he had to use that time to prepare. So the person that comes to us might not be 100% perfect. You talk, discuss, but there's always that waiting element. So we have to learn to be patient with the process as well. Okay, so I think that's a nice wrap up.
Definitely. So thank you for that, Sherridean. Are there any questions at this time regarding the story of Ruth? Anybody have any questions? You're muted, Tamisha, if you're saying something. No, you don't have anything. Anyone have any questions regarding Ruth? No? I don't have a question or any comments then. Might not be a question. Do you have any comments? No comments, everybody's so quiet.
Ooh, I was that clear? Whoa.
What I get from Ruth is that, you know, even though she went through, even though the Bible doesn't mention, she went through quite, you know, trauma. She lost her husband.
Yeah.
She lost brother-in-laws because, you know, he had brothers, and it really was just her and Naomi. And what I get from it is that even though, especially if you put it in context as well, in those times, a woman was nothing literally without a husband.
Correct.
And then even more so if you then didn't have any sons to replace the husband. So she had neither. She had no son, she had no husband. Naomi had no husband, no sons. So there were two single women who would have been looked upon, I mean, maybe not so bad because their partners and stuff had died,
Yeah.
but the pressure would have been on to some extent to have a husband, or to have a partner, well, it would have been husband, have a husband, because without that, you know, where would they get their finances from? Where would they get land from? How would they survive? And so, you know, it was crucial really for them both to remarry, or at least for the younger one, i.e. Ruth, to remarry. But I don't get a sense of urgency from her in the Bible, in the story, that she was desperately looking for this man to come into their lives to provide and to protect and do everything. You know, as the story says, she went out, she went to the field. You know, she was happy, or at least she was comfortable going out and working and doing for herself. And I think sometimes when we are single, we're so focused on, like you said, kind of looking for a man or wanting to be validated by having a man or partner. It's a case of you forget other things that you can be doing, everything that you can be putting your energy into. You know, whether it's your relationship with God, whether it's developing your craft, whether it's starting a new business, whether it's, you know, whatever it is. And so she went about her business, as it were, doing, you know, what she needed to do to survive. But I don't get this urgency, even in that context of the Bible, where a man was required. You know, there was no sense of urgency. And so, you know, I would like women who are single to kind of take that on board, that there's, even though we are, you know, and the reality is we are validated by having a man, even in 2022. You know, if you're a certain age, for example, well, when you're getting married, if you don't have children, oh my gosh, it's even worse. Oh, so when you're having children, and there's always this pressure to have a man or to have children. And that's the first question you are asked. And, you know, men don't get asked those questions because men are not validated by having a partner. Men are validated by, you know, the job they have, the car they have, the house they have, the material, outward things. And women are judged you know, by having a partner. But what I like, as I said, she doesn't have, there's no sense of urgency, there's no desperation. She's calm, she's doing what she's got to do. She follows the instructions of Naomi, which, you know, again, is probably critical in terms of taking good instruction, having that good friend to guide you when you're in that season of singleness or of loneliness, or even if you're just in a season where you need good guidance. That's why, you know, it's critical to have a good friend or someone you can go to for that.
Yeah.
And more so, you know, I think when you are single. So that sense of urgency, as I said, wasn't there. She went and she did what she, you know, she had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, if she was, one would say in the earlier stages that she wasn't thinking about marriage, because, you know, she would have just lost her husband, whatever. But even though she went with her to Bethlehem, I believe that at a given point in time when she settled herself, she could have said, all right, you good, and gone back to her homeland. But the mere fact that she remained and she was making a life, which included Naomi, because she was looking out for her, right? The mere fact that she remained there, again, as you were saying, meaning she was at peace with herself. She was comfortable with herself. And that is very critical, because if you're desperate for anything, that means you'll take up anything. And in this day and age, as women, we cannot afford to be desperate and looking and hoping for everything that move and wearing pants that it is, because there are many things you have to look for. Now, notice when it came to Boaz, she knew he was a good kinsman. She knew he was a responsible man. She knew he was a kind man. So in other words, you have to give yourself time to find out what type of character you're dealing with. Because in this modern era, you know, not every guy is thinking, I want to provide or to be there or to be a support for a woman. Many of them, they are coming because they are looking for support. They want to be taken care of by you. So you have to examine what it is you're dealing with, and you have to examine their, as I said, I can't stress it enough, making sure that they are a good person. Do not rush. And I've learned it the hard way, and I'm better at it now. You can't rush and overly commit unless you really have tested the person at their worst. When they have money, when they don't have money, when they're happy and when they're sad. Because when they're happy and good, they can tolerate or bear with any circumstance. But when they're at another level, see how they treat you. You don't want someone who's pulling you down, calling you names, and whatever have you. You want to make sure you've tested and tried, you're comfortable and at peace. So I'll share with you quickly a tip Colleen gave to me, all right? And she shared this thing for me. When you meet someone, because you may not be fortunate like Ruth to be talking with Naomi, who knew about this kinsman from before. So you might be meeting a gentleman for the first time and say, ooh, I'm interested in you. You might say, Diane, I'm really interested in you. You look like a really nice person. Give him 3 months.
Right, it's not mine. I have
no, but she's the one that gave it to me. That was
okay.
A Steve Harvey something. She always so humble. It was a Steve Harvey something, but she's the one that reminded me of it. 3 months is equal to 90 days. And I started putting that into effect for over the last 2-3 years. Man, that thing works. You understand? I mean, one had it down, far down to the end. It was the day before I was like, oh, like this is really it now. Boom. You see the other part when the vex, the God vex, talking you down, making you sound like you're stupid. You know, you don't have intelligence. Nah, you don't want that for the rest of your life. So take your time and include God in this entire equation, because he will show you, he will lead you, and he will guide you. And the same way he helped Ruth and made a change in her life, he made a reversal in her life. Whatever God does for you should bring you closer to experiencing his blessings. And that's my take on that.
Definitely, definitely. Any comments from the room?
Feel free, ask questions, disagree, whatever.
Nothing? All very quiet.
So I guess you agree with.
Go
ahead.
Which is fair enough.
1 minute, right? Sorry, I was just eating. No, I was just going to say that was fantastic.
Oh,
Okay,
thank
good.
you.
Really good. yeah, I can resonate with a lot of that. And yeah, I like the story of Boaz and Ruth,
Yeah,
definitely.
Because people always talk about, oh, I'm looking for my Boaz. You
yes,
hear that
Yeah.
such a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking for my Boaz. Because let's not.
There's
let's
books
not
with that
forget-
title as well.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a book called Where Is My Boaz?
Right,
Yes,
right,
yes.
right. And let's not forget Boaz was, as you said, he was a kingdom, and he was also a very rich and wealthy
Yeah,
man. So
yeah.
he would have been, you know, a what do they call them? What do they say when the man is available and he's a
a bachelor.
Eligible Bachelor.
eligible
Eligible
bachelor?
bachelor.
That's it. Thank you. You know, he would have been an eligible bachelor because
Yeah.
he was rich as also.
Yeah,
And so that whole Steve Harvey again, 'cause you know, I love
Yeah.
Steve Harvey. All that those P's, you know, the provide, the protect, the
Mhm.
profess.
And profess.
Yeah, he would be able to do all of that because of his status
right.
within, you know, his within his community and so on. So, you know, everyone's always referred to looking for their Boaz, but what we find is that not all women want to do what Ruth did in order to get their Boaz.
Right.
Taking instructions, being patient, waiting, being kind, being
Exactly.
humble,
Process.
you know, willing to submit and all of that. And some women want the Boaz, but they don't want to do the Ruth.
Yeah, that's a good way to look
You
at
know,
it.
they want the Boaz, but they don't want, because, you know, I've not read that book. I mean, I've heard about it.
Yeah.
You know, where's my Boaz? And it'd be interesting to see
Yeah,
what, I guess,
What they-
guidance
Mhm.
they give in terms of you as the woman
yeah,
looking for your Boaz. What is it that you need to do? And I'm not saying that, you know, we have to do everything. No, you know,
Mhm.
men have to do what they've got to do.
Mhm.
But if you are looking for a man like Boaz, so we're saying that the man you're looking for has all these things that Boaz already has. What are you now doing then? Are
Yeah.
you doing Ruth?
yeah. I like that.
That's my. That's
Are
my.
you doing? That's your.
Are you doing Ruth?
Exactly.
Because
I've got to say, go ahead. No, go ahead.
That's it. That's it. I finished. Go ahead.
Are we allowed to ask questions as we go along?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think one of the things for me, and this is you know, applying to modern times, I think that so I love the fact that they're from two different economic backgrounds and class, and the
Right.
fact that he genuinely saw something in her beyond where she came from, because in those times, you know, he's rich, he's, you know,
Yeah.
regal, and so it's almost like it wouldn't have been expected for him to be with someone like Ruth. You know, there would have been people that the women that someone would have handpicked for him from a different class, or the same stature as him,
Exactly.
but he went with, you know, heart and genuine, you know, kindness and feelings and the core of the person, as opposed to, you know, her family and where she's from, etc.
Right.
I would say the flip of that is that in modern times, if the female was the Boaz, so if the female was the one that was of the certain stature, because at the moment in London, I know a lot of single Black women who are doing really well for themselves, got really good jobs, their own homes, you know, they want a partner as opposed to need one. And so in that context, we should kind of take the same part as Boaz, right? In that if you meet somebody who is kind, etc., but may not be of the same stature as you, it's difficult because in our minds, we're wired to feel like the man is the provider, he's the protector, he's the hunter-gatherer, we're the homemakers. You know, I'm meant to be my husband's peace. When he comes home, his house is meant to be, you know, we both work towards making it a tranquil place. It shouldn't be a battleground, a war field, you know. And so I think that's the part where I'm struggling with, because I want that providing element in someone,
Yes.
you know.
I
But
understand.
I'm the Boaz, but I have Ruth in me. Does that make sense?
Yes,
I understand
absolutely.
you.
That's partly why I'm single, because I. Oh, is this just? Am I speaking your story? Oh,
Yes.
we'll have to talk offline.
Yeah. But
You
one
have to
thing,
advise me.
yeah, but no, one thing, right? Because anyhow you take it, God has placed within the man a desire to provide, a desire, an innate desire to protect. And if a man cannot feel that, he feels somehow emasculated at times. So therefore, That's why you have to be very careful if someone is willing to gravitate and run towards you because you have everything going on and he has nothing happening there. You may not be getting the Boaz, you might be getting the latter part of that word, right? So you have to be very, you have to be spirit-led. This is what I have learned. A man could be progressive because a progressive man, a man could want to be informed. In other words, he's get some form of education. He's moving closer to what it is he reads that makes him really happy. So he's living it or he's in the process of getting it. If he's on his way and he's living it and there are evidences, well then that's more of a safe zone. You can talk a language. You just have to, again, wait, give him time to manifest. Just as Ruth waited, wait. It doesn't mean that you have to become provider. Oh, I need so-and-so, give him that, give him that. No, no, no. From time you start giving him this, giving him that, he's losing his importance of being who he is supposed to be. And from time you flip roles, you're putting yourself in a danger zone. The relationship will start, but it would not outlast the test of time. And from time things go wrong, but you do this, you have it, or you figure you know, especially if you're more educated, you figure you know everything. And I mean, this is like recently I proved that. I'm humble, not saying anything, you know, but I just said, I suggest that you do so and so. Or my problem is, you know, when people think they're more educated, they want to be in control. And I said, therein lies the reason why I make my choice. So sometimes it means we have to wait a little longer, especially if you enjoy peace. If you enjoy
Which
peace,
I love.
all righty then. No, you want someone who is on that same wavelength. Bible talks about unequally yoked.
Yes.
Sometimes we think it's with the saved and with the ungodly. But if you are taller than he is, the yoke is going to be like that. It could never be equal. It has to be somewhere side by side. Get the pattern from when God brought Eve. She took him from his side. So in other words, you should be able to operate in who you are and feel comfortable at his side. And if he's not comfortable, he's not happy. Oh, I got promoted. Oh, I'm getting an increase in pay. Oh, they want me on TV. And he's like, oh, okay. All right, cool, nice. All right. Or I'm going to be doing a presentation. Could you come? He's not working. He doesn't have any obligation. Oh, well, we will see how it goes. Hello, red flag. You understand? So you are not supposed to be Boaz for anybody. You can help and support because he has a mindset and is on his way. And that happens after when you know the commitment. But it's in the early stages. Leave that alone.
This is good.
Oh, I just wanted to quickly say one of the things that I got from that last segment was the idea of the 90-day rule, because sometimes we go past 90 days with someone because we feel that, oh, we might change that particular thing in him or her that will bring us closer together.
Yes.
But in actual fact, you really, yeah, I've gone past that 90-day in hope. And it's not about being patient. It's just like, yeah, we fool ourselves.
Exactly.
Past that 90-day. But now that I've been told that, I'm strictly a 90-day girl. So thank you so much.
It works.
It works.
Forward. 90 days, that's it.
Yeah. But listen though, it works, but this is the reality. If you're dealing with a character problem, that's another issue. That just mightn't change. I mean, God can, if the person is really committed to God and they're accustomed dropping the shoes by the door and it causes people to stumble and he forgets now and again, it's no problem. You can work it out. You can even put up a sign, please place shoes at the right hand. But if the person is in the habit of lying and you're catching that 1, 2, 3, oops, you have no guarantee, especially in marriage. You don't want to have a partner that is lying. So certain things you have to know, the core things that mark the core values, no compromise in there.
I mean,
it will haunt you.
Yeah, I mean, Steve gets that from psychology in terms of the human, the everyday person, unless they're some kind of sociopath or psychopath, they can't go past you can't go past 3 months
Pretender.
of pretend. I mean, it will start to crack before the 3 months are up. But,
It
you know,
will.
you give the full 3 months. But you know, most people cannot go past 3 months having a persona that is not their natural default personality. And so, you know, as Jaslyn said, you know, we kind of think, oh, we'll you know, he'll change, or just give him a little bit more time. And that's another thing that us as women do. We hope that people will change, or we want to help to change them. And men have the opposite. They think we will stay the same.
That's what I want.
Yeah, and that's where the clash comes from, because men expect you to stay the same, and you evolve. We're human beings, especially if you're ambitious and you want things out of life. You are going to change.
Yep.
Whether it's, you know, you return to Christianity, you want to start a business, you want to do something different, you want to grow and develop. But they hope that you will stay the same, where we hope that men will change. And that's also
Problem.
another issue. And that's probably a whole another conversation. But you know, yeah, as a whole conversation. But you know, people generally show who they are, and what we need to do is believe what we see. And not try to mask it because of, you know, whether loneliness or what have you. And another thing, yes, I was just about to say, you know, an anagram of HALT, H-A-L-T. And my thing is, don't make decisions if you're hungry, which is H, A, which is angry, L, if you're lonely, and T, when you're tired. Never make decisions when you're in any of those emotional states, because you tend to make the wrong decision. Yeah, we all know what we're like when we're hungry. We're hangry.
Anything,
You know what I
anything
mean?
goes.
Anything goes. You'll eat anything. You make poor decisions. The nearest thing you will just grab because you're hungry. You know, it's a natural survival mechanism.
And then after the first 2 bites, it's like, well,
should have eaten this.
It tastes bad.
Yeah. Right, and you start to feel bad. So hungry is a no-no. Angry, obviously, that's self-explanatory. Lonely, which is kind of maybe what we're talking about today, because everybody said that's the kind of thing that they miss, or that's not so nice about being single, is loneliness. And when you're lonely and you've been on your own for a long time, and remember, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Yeah, I love being alone, and most people here said they don't mind having their peace and being in their quiet time and being alone. You know, you could be in a crowded room and you're not alone, but you could still feel lonely. And that's different when you don't feel you have anybody to turn to. And that emotional state, again, people make decisions when they're lonely, and they can be very poor decisions. Yeah, they can be disastrous sometimes if you make a decision when you're lonely, because obviously when someone comes into your life, they come into your life, and sometimes they come into your life with a lot of other stuff that you can't see, that you'll never see, but you just see it manifested in your life. Things are not as they used to be. You know, you're not as comfortable. Money's not running right. Whatever. There's something that the person's come with, and they're not adding value to your life. Yeah, the spiritual element. And you know, the Bible talks about that. Doesn't talk about the dark forces, not the flesh, but principalities and so on, things, spiritual things that we cannot see. So even on that basis, you know, we have to be very careful about who we bring into our space. And particularly when we're lonely, we can make really rash decisions. So, you know, we need to, you know, make sure we take time in doing that. And obviously when you're tired, you know, just go to sleep.
Yeah, go to sleep.
Just go to bed, just find rest.
Before you make any decision on that, you wait, you rest, take it easy. When you figure out peace and you, in terms of your mind and everything, just make sure that you're comfortable. Once you're comfortable, then you can go on to make any decisions. Other than that, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone.
Any other questions or comments?
Any other questions? Yeah.
Everybody good? Thanks for Charlene and Jaslyn for contributions. Diana, Tamisha. Somebody else? Anybody want to say anything before we move on?
Welcome Winnell. She's with us. Charlene's back.
Diana, you want to say something?
I can't get my mood off. Hold on a second. Now, my only thing was what happens when you get very comfortable with your singleness. So that you build this house that has no windows, no people, no. What happens then? Because now you're so comfortable being on your own that you're not prepared to let anybody in now.
What Okay, what's wrong with being single?
Well, the society tells you that there's an issue.
Oh,
No, that's
okay.
why I asked the question, because for me, if a person decides that they want to be single and they are really genuinely, they've searched their heart and they are happy being single, enjoy it. Why go out and do something just because society expects you to, and then you walk into the other end of Boaz, the end part of Boaz, the other end of Boaz, and just disrupts your life.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
and
But how do you know that you're not protecting
yourself.
yourself rather than
right,
Exactly.
okay.
That is where
Okay.
you have to learn to, that's what I'm saying. You
That's
come
what
to
sets
this
your heart.
place of peace. You know, David used to say, Lord, search me and see. All right. Like for me, I would tell you, I was getting to that place. And I think many times I would mention that to Colleen. I said, Colleen, see me, girl, I think I'm done with this thing. Meeting one thing after the next thing, madness, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, when you're meeting guys these days, they're not so much into getting to know you. They want to introduce you to their bedroom. And it's like, what kind of relationship you wanted as all they're going to be talking about?
Mm.
And it's like, oh God, no, boy. You see me, I think again, let me get used to this singleness. In other words, when I search myself, the reason why I'm getting to that point is because I'm fed up. I'm tired. I'm tired of dealing with crap. Right? But that shouldn't be the motive. You have to search yourself. What kind of personality do you have? If your personality type, well, you're comfortable on your own, you don't feel, because the Bible said some persons are born like that. Yeah, you don't need a partner really. You have everything going on. You don't feel anything missing really, you know. And sometimes if you're wanting a partner, it's not because you don't have someone you can talk to, you don't have a confidant or anything like that, but just a little part of you that's a maleness. I don't know how to quite explain it, a maleness thing. It's just a little part of you. And if you find just a little part of you, then that's a telltale. To me, that's a telltale. But if that little part is not there, it's not showing up, and you forget it, then okay, continue, enjoy your singleness. You'll never have to worry about running back home because I have to go and do this, I have to do it. You'll never, right? But the important thing is to know deep down, and you have the right motive and intention. All right, because don't forget, you ask an answer to someone's prayer. So you have to make sure you don't cut off that prayer because of your own feelings and emotions. But I always say, God, show me, reveal to me what it is you want out of my life, and he will show you. He'll show you. Yeah.
So you comfortable, Diana, being single, do you think, deep down?
I am very comfortable. I am very comfortable, but sometimes it's a bit worrying. It's a lot of adjustment. Should a bowhead come sniffing? It's a lot of adjustment.
It's a lot. It is true. And that's why I was able to tell it, you know, you got to listen, because I found myself coming down, it was last year or so, I found myself last year, like I'm getting really comfortable with this thing here. Yeah. Because when you talk to somebody and you get a little glimpse, I have to adjust my time. And that means I have to leave, and I have to go and do so. Or I already have my vehicle already. I don't, and I have to go and pick him up. Do I want this? And then, you know, you feel like you have your level of success, or when you go out with your girlfriend and everything, you find you laugh more and enjoying times, and you work hard and you just want to relax. But when you get to him, it's this intense conversation about, you know, he don't want to wear red, he prefer to be. If you want to be red, then why you come on your butt? Leave me then. You know what I'm saying? So certain things you have to be negotiating, and there's an absolute peace when you're on the same wavelength spiritually with someone. And that's why I told you all before you even go and get married, develop good friendship, because out of our friendship, I recognize, you can recognize peace. You can recognize that ability to talk, to share, and to be. So when I feel you meet people that spirit and it's not there, I mean, everybody have their own personality, but I mean, having a heart, you'll pick up on certain vibe. Don't force it. Just say, Lord Jesus, you made me and you know me. If you made me for a partner that you have prepared for me somewhere, Lord, you show me. If you want me to remain at this age, then show me. Because every time I said I done this, it's either I'll get a prophecy or somebody will remind me of a prophetic word that the Lord told me, or she will tell me, don't mind me, you wait on it, coming, it coming. I said, all right, but taking long, boy. But the important thing is to enjoy the journey and be at peace. When you're at peace, regardless of who comes, you're calm and cool. And yay, I found a man, wow. you are at peace so that you can really observe, recognize what's going on here. Why is he talking to me? Because he's in love with love, or he would love to get to know me, to grow to love me.
And also men, I find men need to have a woman. I think I've said this to my friends before, we've had conversation, and we've had this conversation, that men need to have a woman. I know women who are happy being single. They don't need to have a man, but I've yet to find a man who is really comfortable being single. And even when I was single, and a guy said to me, I'm single, I used to say, single, are you sure you're single? You're single? Or, there's no woman out there who thinks she's your girlfriend, but you're just not, you don't see her as your girlfriend. So because there's always someone in the wings, kind of, hanging around. So I've never met, quote me if I'm wrong, if you've had different experiences, but I've never met a guy who's been totally single. There's always something in the background
somewhere around
where I
There's
know
always a skeleton in the closet.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? She might just jump out at you and say, "Oh, he's my man." It's like, "Oh,
yes.
It's like, huh? So you got to ask the right questions. But I know women who are genuinely single. There's no man they're calling on a night time now and again, or someone who's there just in case. Some women are single. They are single, and so you have to understand that as well. And again, going back to biblical, women were created to be the helpmate. So it's clear even from Adam and Eve that Adam needed to have Eve.
It's not good for a man to be alone.
Right?
Scripture.
Exactly. And apart from Paul, everybody else was kind of was had a wife. It's only Paul who said, if you can't live like me, etc. So but there's plenty of stories of women who have been single for a period of time and functioned in the Bible. So you have to understand that as well. Men's kind of natural need to have a woman. That is why they're kind of never ever really single. There's always someone waiting in the wings.
A good friend, or
I knew her from before. Oh, she's just a friend. And I find in Barbados everybody's a friend.
Yep.
See, I had to really learn that culture. Oh, she's my friend. You had to listen to the tone. Oh, she's my friend. She's my friend. Oh, yeah, she's a friend. And there's all these different tones, so you kind of know which level of friend this female was, whether it was an ex, or she was a genuine friend, or it was a friend with benefits, but they didn't have a relationship. So there was a lot of friendships in Barbados.
They just keep someone on the side. She's all right, she's okay, but if they find somebody who's better, they'll start talking to you until you find out, listen, madness go on. That's why I tell you need the Holy Spirit to guide you. I see Tamisha, she made a comment there. She said, to be honest, it's always going to be a struggle for a single woman to adapt to a new relationship, and you give the answer right there. It will always be difficult, but then you have to be adaptable. In other words, be willing. And that is why you have to know where it is you're going in life. If you know eventually one day, then you, even as you work on yourself and you enjoy life, you have the mindset that yes, I'll have to make time for the person. Yes, I will have to be thoughtful. And I mean, these are things that you can demonstrate towards your children, your friend, and your family. Be kind, be thoughtful. If you have a good friend, when you think about X, Y, and Z, I was thinking about doing so and so. So all of these things you practice. Oh, I'm leaving to go X, Y, and Z. It's not necessarily that you have to need to, but just point of connection, whatever. Okay, I'm leaving, I'm heading up the road and come back. I mean, all those healthy practices is what will carry you over. So it won't be a major adjustment. The problem is when you live by yourself and you're only thinking one track all the time, then when he comes along, it's a huge change. But if you were in the habit of sharing a part of you here and there, certain things, it helps to me. I find it helps a lot. Yeah, but we have to adapt. And as someone said, oh, I don't want to change. Well, I said, well, you don't want to change. That means you want to continue where you're at. Because even when you want to serve the Lord Jesus, you got to make time for him. You have to pray. You have to consult him on everything you do, right? So when he says, put me first, seek me first, actually, when you seek him first, then you're able to shift that same lessons you learn into the person that he provides.
I was going to say something. Have we got time?
Yeah.
Are you okay for time?
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with everything you just said. I was just going to add, so I've got single friends, I'm single, and I know why I'm single, right? But then I look at some of my friends and I can see why they're definitely single. And it correlates.
They're not doing their roof, Sha.
Honestly, they're really not. And they're very, it's like you're set in your way. I'm trying to word this as diplomatically as possible. They're set in their way. And faith without works is dead, right? So you can pray all day long for a husband. If you are not preparing yourself for your partner, if you are not doing the internal work in yourself, if you are not willing to submit, because I'm old school, so I have to submit to my husband, but I can't submit to a boy. Okay, there's a difference. It's got to be a man. And so, but at the same time, I'm not perfect either. I'm infallible, you know, only God is perfect. So I've got to, I think we really have to kind of check our mindset, and we have to be open to attract that man. If I'm walking down the street now and a guy's looking at me, I will smile at him. I might not be even attracted to him. It might not be, you know, I'm looking at him with eyes of lust, but the fact he took time out of his day to notice me and smile, I'm going to smile back. I think sometimes as women, especially Black women, we can be very like, what's he looking at me for? Like, why is he looking at me? You know, and very kind of standoffish. And you don't know, that could be your husband just walked past you. That could have happened 100 times and you've missed 100 husbands, you know? And so I think that we do really kind of have to, yes, the caliber of men out there it's a little bit shaky, but it's a bit shaky. But I'm open to receive, and I think that we need to be more open to, you know, when you meet that one, he will soften you. The most hardest woman will soften under the right kind of love, under the right kind of, when a man deals with you in the right way and brings out your feminine essence. Right. And, you know, a woman that was previously saying, oh, I'm not even doing this for our man, is asking her husband, oh, baby, do you need anything? Like, can I get you some water? You know, oh, let me know when you're coming home, I'll run your bath. You're looking at someone like, who is this person? You know, but different people bring out different sides.
It's true, right. Absolutely.
You know, and so yeah, I think that we need to be, you have to be prepared for when your husband arrives, because you know, and do that internal work. I don't believe in, oh, this is my other half, this is my better half. No. I don't want to meet half a person. We have to come as two wholes and do this thing.
That's it.
And you made a very important point a while ago in terms of adjusting and checking ourselves. And it's very interesting. We will go and prepare ourselves if you want to get your hair done. We will prepare ourselves to study if you want to get our degree. We prepare ourselves if you're going to get our dress made, we get it cut to suit us and everything. Everything we do, we prepare, research, and have it. How many of us prepare for when we have to walk into a relationship? We read about everything, how to do hair. You could even go on YouTube, how to do your face, whatever, and you choose what works for you, correct? How many of us will go and listen or read the word to find out what kind of woman I'm supposed to be? What is the quality of a good wife? So unless you're doing that, and this is it, unless you're practicing what the word of God says, you will feel like you have to make a huge change. But if you're mindful of these are the traits of a good wife, or this is a trait of a godly wife, according to the scripture, then you know, your mind is already wired to know that when the right time comes, it's just a matter of me practicing.
The Bible says a man who finds a good wife right?
Mhm. Good.
Find a good wife. It doesn't say find a good woman.
Ah,
It
right,
says find a good wife,
right.
meaning she's already a wife. And so how do you become a wife if you're not already married? Because he's looking, isn't he? He's find
Yes.
a good wife. So all what you just said about the practicing and the behaviors and, you know, the constant mindset of being a wife, not just being a good woman, is important.
That might be the whole determinant, the whole determinant factor there, and it hits a different nerve now, because it's the reality. We could have been preparing to be a good wife. What does need to be a good wife, but you're not practicing it. In other words, so when he comes along, man, so the genuine person can come along, but you're so busy doing this, that, everything. The first time, say, well, you don't have no time for me, or you don't X, Y, and Z, or because you're saying in your mind, when the man comes and he gives the intention, then I will change my plan. But it makes me think
But
twice.
then you have to be careful, because you can't be a
Stuff
wife to every
everybody.
person
No,
who
you got
comes
to wait
into
for
your
that.
space. So you have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
But if you as a person are in the mindset that you want to be a wife, because not everybody wants to be married.
Yeah,
Not everybody wants to be married, and that's absolutely fine. But if you want to be married, if you want to be a wife, and you know, as a Christian woman, you've got to look and research, behave, and act as a wife. But as I said, you use that with wisdom. Everything comes with wisdom. So you apply wisdom when, you know, to know when to you know, act out your wifely mindset to the right person.
Sure.
That you know, you've got to have that wisdom. You can't just give that to everybody. Yeah.
Wow.
But it is about having, you know, that wife mentality, if that's what you want to be. And if you don't want to be married, but you want to be in a relationship, then you still have to apply the relationship mindset, that accountability, the, you know, the compromising and so on. So the mindset has to have a shift. Yeah. Because everyone talks about this bringing to the table, you know, what are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the table? And what I see on social media and stuff like that is all about, you're always looking for what the other person is bringing. I'm not really hearing about what you need to do also to bring to the table. And it's not, you know, all the things, the material things, the financial things are important, but it's the character, like you mentioned before. You know, you could look really great, have a fantastic job and stuff like that. And as you said, Charlene, about your friend, you can see why they are not in a relationship, because they haven't done the work. You know, they haven't done the work on themselves. And and as well as being accountable to somebody else, we have to be accountable to ourselves as well, and take account of how we are. You know, I know my traits.
You got to know about it.
I know.
You got to know.
You know, I know, and you know, it's a work in progress. It's not something that fixes overnight.
Exactly.
But once you are aware and you can reflect and say, yeah, you know what, I'm a bit picky, or yeah, I'm a bit superficial, or yeah, I know I can be a little bit miserable. Or, you know, so we know ourselves. And if we don't, then that is the first thing we need to do. Know self. I never forget, Diana actually knows this young male that I used to work with. His name was Christopher. And he had this line, know yourself, Colleen. You got to know yourself. And I was like, but, you know, and he was teaching me, he was younger than me. And I was like, wow, yeah, you are so right. Because if you don't know self, if you don't know yourself, you would just take anything, you would just do anything, you would just accept anything, and you're just in a mess. You really are in a mess. So it really is about knowing self, knowing what you want. If you want to be single, then be bold about wanting to be single and stay strong in your singleness. You know, don't let society sway you because, oh, you're a woman and you're of a certain age. And if you are happy in your singleness, you stay single, because I tell you, when your peace is broken, it just breaks everything.
But not anything is the peace in terms of when you're in a bad relationship or you're in a bad marriage, all right? It affects how you perform on the job. It affects your confidence, because sometimes they're abusing you by their words, by their way they treat you. Sometimes they talk about you, they're not faithful to you, so you don't know. When all of these dynamics are going on, You cannot sleep well, you cannot rest well. Sometimes you just, your whole life is in a tailspin. And especially if you're a person that is really into marriage and you know what good marriage looks like, how people can work and get along, and you know, you're not getting, this man is, oh, you can't buy that, or you can't have that. And I've been to, oh, you will never have X, Y, and Z, on and on. It's like you could never do nothing, right? And even if you, sometimes you bring home what you can help with, and then it's hidden, it's taken away, it's not a nice feeling at all. So what do you want? Do you enjoy your peace as a single person, or you want to go and prematurely go and put yourself in an environment where you cannot be? And let me tell you, by being in the wrong environment, it offset my life almost by 10 years because I was married before. It offset my life by 10 years. So things that I dreamt of doing 10 years ago, I am actually, look, 10 years ago, I wanted to do my master's. I'm now at peace to go and do it. You understand what I'm saying? For years, I wanted to have my own home. I've just gotten it when last year. You understand? So I'm saying it is better to wait, better to know that the person's on the same mindset, the same spiritual set level. He might be as spiritual or whatever, but at least his heart, and that is where we need to really examine. His heart is towards God and his heart is towards you. When you have that combination, you have a person you can begin a relationship with and invest your time and allow God to have his own way. Yeah.
Any quick comments before we move on? Does anybody need to take a little comfort break or some conscious of the time? Yeah. Stretch legs for 5 minutes, use the bathroom, anything like that? Or do you want to, you're okay to just kind of continue? Raise of hands for a break.
Charlene, so continue?
No, continue. Continue.
Okay.
I take silence as agreement, people.
Speak now,
Speak now,
forever hold your peace.
Okay, all right. So we'll move on because we are running a little bit behind time, actually.
Okay.
So, so thank you for that. I hope you got a lot out of Ruth, and thank you for the discussion. I think it was hearty and did lots to have the little facets and whatever, but you know, that's to be expected. So now I'm going to go on to Esther. Now, for those who know, Esther's my girl. I do love Esther. I do love Esther. And if you have the book or if you've read the book of Esther, we took it from a different perspective. We was looking at Esther as someone who was obedient and knew the right time to talk. And so for those who may not be familiar with the story of Esther, Esther was she was quite young, wasn't she? A young virgin bride who was selected by the king to be his queen. And so she was married, obviously, to the king, but her purpose may not have been just to get married, because that's another thing as well. You know, society kind of says that as a woman you're supposed to get married and have children, and that's almost like your purpose that you have to do. But Esther did something else, and we'll go into that in a little bit later. But Esther was a Jew, her king wasn't, and there was a plot basically to kill all of the Jews. And because of Esther's obedience, because of her position of where she was in the palace, because she was a queen, she had the ear of the king, and you know, through her obedience to God, obedience to even her cousin, isn't it? Mordecai, her cousin, listening to instructions, she was able to save a whole nation of people, right? As I said, from the book, and I'm going to leave it, I'm not going to give you too much of Esther, so I'd like to go away and read the book of Esther for yourselves and have your own interpretation and relationship with it. But that's the essence of it. She was a very young, she was always, in most stories, she's always talked, her beauty is always talked about, how beautiful she was. And, you know, I wanted to move away from the aesthetics. And as I said, I picked out her obedience and her silence in our book and focused on that, because as women, you know, particularly in relationships, we can talk a little bit too much sometimes. You know, even when you're with your children, you're repeating, you're talking. And sometimes we just need to learn to say something and just leave it and let the person take it or leave it or whatever. And sometimes we can talk too much. We can talk too much. So, but Esther, as I said, in this occasion, she did the opposite. You know, she remained silent, she remained obedient. She fasted and prayed. She looked to the Lord for her answers, and as I said, was able to save a whole nation of people. And really, so for today's session, I wanted to look at Esther from the fact of, even though she wasn't single and she was married, I want to look at purpose. And Sherridean mentioned the word purpose, because we feel, even the discussions that we've had, it's all been about purpose. And Sherridean obviously is a minister, and she has been absolutely amazing in leading me in the Bible and, you know, having more of a relationship with the Bible and stories and verses and so on, and really helped me strengthen in my faith. And I want to thank you for that publicly. So, you know, people come into your life for different reasons and for different purposes, and to help you also with your purpose. And as I said, not to go off track, but in terms of purpose, my friends are here. They know I don't do public speaking. I don't do Zoom and all these things. You know, that was never my thing. And to be sitting here now, you know, doing the word of God to women and stuff like that, that was never something that was ever in my idea as my purpose. And so with Esther, I'm sure she maybe even have it in her mind that her purpose would be to save a whole nation of people. You know, she was a very young bride. And so even though she was married, she wasn't single, I wanted to pull out the bit about purpose, about us women, whether you're married, whether you're single, you know, knowing your purpose. So even though society says, oh, you know, you should get married, you should have children, you should have a partner, why are you not married, why you don't have children? That may not be your purpose. That may not be your purpose. That may not be your calling, to be married and to have children, even if we really, really want it. And so this is why, going back again to our point about knowing ourselves, what do we want? If you want to be married, if you want to be in a partnership, if you want to have children, by all means, work towards that. And, you know, our title is called Love and Singleness. But, you know, we put love and singleness, and people will automatically assume that we're talking about being single and being in love. But I also want to add that love and singleness can be two separate things. You can be single and still be in love. You know, you can still be in love with being single. You could be in love with, you know, just being single and looking at your purpose and loving your purpose and knowing what your purpose is. You don't, you know, being in love doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a husband beside you. Yeah. And so with, as I said, with the story of Esther, she was married, but her purpose was to free or to save a whole nation of people. But in order for her to do that, she had to be married, because she had to be in the palace. Wow. She had to be the queen. She had to be in a position where the king would have heard what she had to say. No one else could have just come and said, oh no, don't do that, don't do that. But the king loved her, adored her, and was open to whatever suggestion she would give. And so again, that goes back to when you're talking about your partner. If he's in love with you, if he knows you and will do for you, you will see it in his actions. He will want to do for you. You won't have to ask. You won't have to, you know, be begging and dropping words and, you know, little hints here, because men don't pick up hints. And I'm sure women, we all know that now. Men don't pick up hints. You have to be very direct to some extent. But she had to be married in order to fulfill her purpose. And that's Esther. That's for Esther. But for a lot of women, it might not be that you have to be married to fulfill your purpose. Yeah, you can be happy and peaceful in your singleness. But when you read Esther, as I said, she was married, and she was also very obedient. So not only did she listen to God, but she also listened to her cousin who had raised her. Was it her uncle? It's her cousin, isn't it? It's her cousin. Yeah, it was her cousin who raised her. And she was very obedient to him also. So again, going back to that having somebody in your life
Yeah.
who who will support you through your periods, whatever that period is, whether it be single, whether it be, because you're married doesn't mean that you're happy and everything's great. We know so many people who are in unhappy marriages. We know so many people who are divorced, or people who stay in marriages, they're not happy because of the face. They need to be seen to be married, and that's killing people. That's making people very, very unwell and ill. And so you have to have a confidence. So, she had somebody who was there, who was still guiding her, even though she was married, guiding her in her purpose. And even in verse 14, Mordecai asks her that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this, which was to, as I said, to save a whole nation of people. So, my one's kind of a bit shorter than yours, because in terms, she wasn't single, but it's about purpose, about knowing your purpose, whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're looking, whether you're not looking. Knowing your purpose as a woman is vital. Also, attitude. We talked about the mindset of a wife, or mindset of a person who wants to be in a relationship. The same with Esther, her attitude. She was humble, she used to listen, she prepared herself, she took time to listen to God, she was obedient, and that was her attitude. Obedience, I've spoken about that enough. It is very hard to be obedient, particularly in these times. And as a woman, as Charlene said, the caliber of men out there for single ladies is a little bit shady. It's a little bit shaky. And so it's hard to then, sometimes to be obedient when the world is telling you can do what you want, be what you want, whatever gender identity you want to pick up, you can do it, whatever job you want, you can do it. Just be you, be free. You don't need anybody, excuse me, just do you. We hear that a lot. Do you, do you.
Yeah.
And do you by all means. But if you are a Christian, you can't just do you. You have to do God. You have to do Christ. And then whatever he says becomes you, and then you do you. And so, we have to follow that line. We have to follow that line. So obedience is very, very difficult, especially when we have the freedom, when you've got financial freedom, for example, you can do what you want. Obedience is very, very difficult. And then with her boldness, she was also very bold, because she went to the king, at a time when, when you didn't just go to the king and just speak. But she went to the king, and not only was she bold in going to the king, but when the king asked her the first time, what is it that you want? She said, oh, no, I'm okay for now. I don't want anything now. And then she went back a second time. So again, that waiting, that timing is crucial to gaining whatever blessing God has put down for you. The timing is crucial. And that's where it goes back into the obedience. It goes back into attitude. It goes back into purpose. All of it is intertwined. Wow. Yeah, all of it is intertwined. And so, as I said, even though she wasn't single, there's lots of things we can pull out, even as myself, as a married woman, because as I said, sometimes it's hard to keep quiet. Very hard to keep quiet. But you have to do what you got to do. It's hard to sometimes be obedient as a Christian. You're hearing the word of God. God's telling you what to do, but you're seeing something else and you want to do something else. I can tell you that every time I've gone against the Holy Spirit, it has never worked. It has never worked. We call it our inner feeling, our spirit, whatever, intuition. When you go against it, and we see these red flags, ladies. When I was single, I saw the red flags, and you're just, well, it's kind of pink. It's not really a red flag. It's kind of a pink flag. You let me give me some more time. Let me just see. But yet your gut is telling you, nah, don't waste your time, move on, close this off, shut this down. So, being obedient and trusting our intuition, trusting the Holy Spirit. And that's about, going back into the obedience again. So I would like you to read Esther's story and, tease out things from her. As I said, even though she wasn't single, she was married. There's lots of things we can learn from her in terms of, our position as women and what we need to do in order to make ourselves, our families, our partners, successful, because our purpose is meant for us and it's meant to be a blessing.
Sure.
yeah, whatever purpose, whatever skill, talent God has given you in your singleness, perfect them. Perfect them while you are waiting. You know, perfect your purpose, perfect your skills, your talents, so that when your Boaz comes along, as Charlene said, you need two holes. You know, so perfect you while you're waiting. When your Boaz comes, it should be a smooth sailing process. All right, so that's Esther in a nutshell. I don't know if anyone has any comments they would like to add,
Comments
or comments or questions
Yeah.
you would like to add if you've read Esther. This time, you have anything?
While you're coming up with your question, this thing about purpose is very critical. And that's why I was glad Colleen, you know, wanted to talk or address it. Because as a woman, you need to know what is your purpose. Not just purpose for getting married, purpose for your existence. If you don't have a reason or have an understanding why God allowed you to be born, what God wants you to do through, what He wants to do through your life, then it doesn't matter. It could go anywhere, anywho, with anything, whatever, because you know what? There's no goal. But from the time you have a purpose, and I've read it ever so much, that your knowledge of your purpose will determine who you carry with you on the journey and also who you can go with. You understand? So if you know God's purpose for your life is to go north, and someone is bent, comes into your life, but his whole purpose is only about going south, you know you can't go two cardinal opposite points at the same time. The only way a marriage can work, Bible said, two must agree. You have to agree, even if you say, well, I'll go north first, and then after a certain time, I'll go south. But from the time you're in a position where he's not supportive of your journey, he's not supportive of why you're going on that journey, you're heading into hot water. And it's an everyday life, you know, and it even happened to me not too long ago. I was about to take up a position. The guy asked me, what's the word? Resign is when you put it down, but he took, in other words, not to accept it.
Refuse.
Can I refuse it? And I'll explain to you. His thing is, you know, in terms of like, it's sometimes you have to deal with it. So you might as well talk about it. Sometimes guys come into your life, yes, they're into sex and everything, but you know, because of my belief in the word, I believe sex is supposed to be in marriage. Not that you're going to disrespect them or make them feel bad, because it's a biblical, guys will feel that way, but it's about self-control and managing. But when it reaches the point when he's saying, well, would you tell anybody if you had sex? Would you go and tell your pastor? It's like, and then it's like, it's not a matter of me telling, it's a matter of I'm accountable to God. That's what his word said. And then after he said, so would you refuse to take up the post so that you wouldn't feel guilty about it? It's like, you know what? Red flag all over the place, done with you. Because you are not encouraging me to fulfill my purpose. I had to give up that kind of position before. Not again. You understand what I'm saying? So you must know your purpose. So that when Esther became wife, when she became queen, she was in the position where she can be the next to decision making. If she was outside, as godly as she was, as independent as she was, she could not have told the king. She would not have even gotten close to the king to tell him what to do. You understand? So that is why I say we can't make our decisions about just marriage, just like that. We have to connect with God and find out what is his plan for our lives. So purpose is very important.
And if God sends you somebody, that person is not going to take you off your purpose.
Point.
They're not going to take you off your purpose. That's why it's important for you to know what you're about, so that when anybody comes into your life, they can't take you off that track. So there's no way that
No
I don't
way.
want to say gentleman, but that male would have, you know, even suggested that,
Mhm.
knowing that what you do, where your purpose is going, he would never have suggested to, you know, that wouldn't even have been a discussion. So you know that can't have been your
Can't be
blessing,
God.
that can't be your Boaz. That's
No,
the end
that's
of
the
Boaz.
that's the end of
Boaz.
Boaz.
You know, that's just, that was it. That's just self-explanatory right there.
Yeah.
So, you know, anytime someone comes into your life, you're supposed to also develop and grow. You know, you're supposed to develop and grow. And so if a person's coming into your life and you're dropping whatever it is, be it your standards, be it your financials, be it your purpose, be it your whatever, if things are dropping, that is a sign that something is not right.
Yep.
Because you're supposed to elevate. And that elevation could be in various ways. But,
Sure.
you know, again, if you know what your purpose is, when you start to drop, you will see the drop. And when you're rising, you will see the rise, whether it be spiritual, emotional, psychological, financial, you know, you will see the development when these people come into your lives. And, you know, even if you take, you know, husbands and partners out of your life, even friendships or people that come into your life, if they're in your life and you're elevating, you're doing things and you're growing, that person's adding to your life. But if they're in your life and all of a sudden you're not studying the Bible as much, you're not going to church anymore, you know, you're not doing the things that you know you should be doing, you know, another red flag. So if this is applicable to friendships, work colleagues, work situations, as well as, you know, partnerships, because everything that God gives you is to be a blessing. And we all know what our blessings look like when they come to us. So if they're not producing blessings, if they're not growing, if they're not developing, something is wrong. Something is wrong, and you have to assess what needs to be removed. And I say, when I was a youth worker before, and you know, you as a young person, you have all these tons of friends and millions of friends, and then as you get older, you slim down these friendships. You know, you have acquaintances or people that you know, but when you then talk about friends, some, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, more than one hand, no more than two hands, you know, kind of thing. Because in order for you to grow, sometimes people have to go. And I always say that. And it's not that you're better than anybody else now.
No.
Oh, you've got your degree, so you're doing this, or you've got your, you know, you've got a nice car, you've got a big job. No, you change. And if people are not growing with you, they're only going to stifle you. You know, they're only going to stifle you. So know your purpose, know what you're about, what you need to do, and be selective and be very selective about who comes into your space, because they will affect your peace, they will affect your health, and they will affect your relationship with Christ, and they will affect your purpose. And you can't allow that to happen at all. So, as I said, whether you wish to be single, great, enjoy it. If you want to be a wife, work on it. But whatever it is, you have to be comfortable and you have to be at peace with whatever decision you make or whatever position you are in.
It's so true.
I love that. I was just gonna say quickly, when you were speaking, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk up. This, you just literally poured into my life with that. I felt like you was giving a word there.
We are always giving the word, hallelujah, praise the Lord, worship the Holy Ghost.
I resonate with everything you just said, and I have one key word which has carried me through everything, and that is discernment.
Yes.
And you know, I thank God that I have the spirit of discernment, strong. And whenever I go against it,
That's it.
it don't work out good for me at all.
Never.
And I think that there's so many of my friends that I see that their discernment is telling them, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't pull out. And I'm known for chop and block. Block. Yeah, next. Like, I don't ramp. You know, I will go with, and I'm not going by discernment is your spirit, man. It's God speaking to you, right? And if you choose to listen, you're gonna be all right. If you choose not to, you're gonna find out the hard way.
Right.
And this is me speaking for my, you know, my own testimony in a way. And so I feel that women, sometimes you hear the voice telling you, you know, run,
Yeah.
You're seeing, because I find that when my light's shining, when I'm at my best, when I'm at my optimum, I attract a lot of people.
Yes.
And you know, there's nothing wrong with, I know there's the 90-day rule, which I'm down for, but at the same time, I've learned how to date differently as well.
True.
And I will share that. I've learned to talk to more than one person at a time. I'm not saying talk to 10 guys, but you can talk to 2 or 3, because then it's process of elimination. Because in a short space of time, because of my discernment, I can determine very quickly who is going to have my time and who I'm going to pour that time into, because my precious commodity is time. I can't get that back. You know, I'm busy. So the fact that I'm making time and I'm going to give you 90 days of my time, you must be special. You must be pouring into my life or attracting me in a way that, yeah, I actually want to get to know this person. And I think that, you know, I think sometimes you might meet someone that might be intimidated by that light shining and try to dim it.
Yes, that is it.
So, you know, you've got to know if the red flags are there, if your discernment is saying there's something there, there's something is something.
That's true.
You know, if in doubt, there's no doubt. Just forget it. You know, and I think we need to just really run with that. So I'm quite happy to be known as the chop block queen. Even my stepdad laughs, "I come like you can't keep no man." No, it's not that. Why would I want to keep someone that wants to stifle me or not allow me to be my true authentic self? Why would I keep someone that I know this is my husband? This is not who God sent for me, you know? So therefore, it's process of elimination at the end of the day. It's not like I bring everyone I meet around my family or friends. It's because he sees me being single for so long. He's wondering what's going on, but single by choice, you know, until God says to me, Charlene, this is him. This is who your husband is. But yeah, discernment. Use it, tap into it. If you feel like you don't have it, connect with God and find it. Everybody has it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
into it.
Everybody has it. We have it from birth. You know, we have it, but society teaches you not to rely on it. Teaches you, well, how do you know? You're just going to go on your gut feeling. How do you know? You know, and particularly for Black people, for African, we are very spiritual. You know, we're always, you know, people always tell us, oh, Black people are so spiritual, and we are, you know. And so I know I was lucky enough to have a mum who used to encourage my discernment. I didn't know it was discernment then, and I don't think even she knew it was discernment. And yes, Mum's is on the call. Hi, Mum. You know, yeah, she's there. So, you know, she used to say to me, Colleen, follow your mind.
Yeah.
You know, that is the discernment. And she said to me, you know, if in doubt, leave it out. You know, she's doing alignment. Yeah, she used to say, in doubt, leave it out. If in doubt, leave it out. That's the 2 things Mum always used to say to me from a child. You know, and so she encouraged that discernment. As I said, we didn't know it was that, but that is what I go with. So if my feeling is not right, I don't work with it. And the more I've had a relationship with Christ and realize that this is something that God wants us to do, he's given it to us.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to follow and to, you know, be obedient and to make wise choices and to apply wisdom to all that we do. I feel fine. I don't care if people say to me, "Oh, what do you mean you don't feel like it?" I just don't feel like it. You know, are you paying my bills? No. Are you doing what you're doing for me? No. I just don't feel like it, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Whereas before, I would try to make excuses for why I didn't want, you know, make up something that sounded a bit more scientific, then a bit more tangible. But no, I'm just like, no, I'm okay, thanks. You know, and keep it moving. Yeah. But yeah, I like the chop and block. Chop and block.
I don't believe in keeping anybody on the block, in other words, you need to come to the decision, because you know what, the devil knows how to send his imps on your way. Yeah. So, you know, and this is something I've always recognized. Let's say even if you're talking to someone that seems of a good caliber, all kind of people come at the same time. So unless you can discern, you say, wait, X like me, listen, you take your time and observe. None of them is saying a word, none encouraging you, none lifting you up, nothing. You understand? So what, when you recognize certain things, look, one day, Colleen and I was talking. We were talking on the phone. And the same time, another person, we were WhatsApping. So he decided to call me. So then when he sent something he was saying, I can't even remember how it went. But during that conversation, because I'm always praying, God, open my eyes to see, because I'm not going to invest my emotions or anything interpersonal unless I know this is it. For somehow talking to this guy, and over his face, fitting on his face like was a mask with some jagged teeth. I mean, teeth, that's how bad it was. Not teeth, you know, teeth. You understand? It was so scary. And the strange thing about it, I was trying to screenshot it to send it to her. Every time I screen, it disappeared. And I'm saying, what's going on here? Man, I was like eager to end this conversation. And all I could have done was to draw this thing. So later on, when I showed it, she said, something like, listen, I put a block. I put a block on that thing because nothing is going to eat me raw. You understand? So you have to know and discern, is this connecting me with God? Am I feeling at peace? And the last thing I remember years ago, I'll be good and fine. And every time I met this particular gentleman, he was showing all this interest, all this thing. And a Christian too. Man, if I was eating, I felt every time around, if I'm going to eat, I felt so upset. The guy was talking with somebody else. And I'm sure he told me, but he didn't even reckon, oh, it's between you and so I decided who I should marry. I said, really? When I didn't say a word, I made it easy, because what he didn't know, and I was just quick, what he didn't know, I was at home, that's in Barbados, and I was at home just doing my own thing. And I heard the Lord say, get up and go to town. I'm saying, but God, I don't want to do anything. And I was interested in him because he seemed nice, you know. I said, but God, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't go. And I said, all right, you know what? I'll get in the bus, because I wasn't driving. I was very young. And I will go in town, go to Cape Shepherd, read books or whatever have you. You know, by the time I reached, I seen the bus pull in there and park and waited for a long time. Same time, the same guy who said he's interested in me drive up and pause at a road because he's waiting for traffic to clear, sitting down very close and talking with another woman in the car. So then when he came and saw me in the evening time now, so I said, oh, so you got time to think about what it is you wanted us to do? He said, well, really, no, I was busy up to today. He didn't know I saw what I saw. That was between the Lord and myself. You understand? So we have to really connect with our spirit, really connect with the inner, so that we can make the right direction. The longer you stay in something, the more difficult it is for you to get out, because the devil will always send something to hold you, to pull you. And that's why sometimes guys so quickly to get you in bed, because they know, and it's scientifically proven, if a man has sex with you or you have sex with a man, it is hard for you to make the right decision because of that tie. So you better know why God wants you, what you're about, where you're heading, before you go and say, I'm tying up.
Literally.
Yeah, literally tying up.
Literally like tying up.
So discernment is key.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have 5 minutes, 4 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
For my what? 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So is there any other questions, comments, suggestions, any final words you'd like to give us before we close up?
I just want to say thank you to you both for taking the time out today. Really great book, and yeah, it's been a really good discussion. The enemy tried to keep me from coming here today, I'll be honest with you, because I'm not feeling very well, but I was determined.
You sound better. You sound better.
Then when she
came
I
home.
feel, I'm getting a bit less congested actually. I feel less congested actually.
Amen, amen.
Was that Holy
Holy
Spirit?
Spirit.
Holy Spirit. Activate. Oh.
Amen. So no, it's good. And you know, yeah, I hope that everyone that's single on here finds their Boaz, you know, or their Job, or their Timothy.
Yes. So many.
And yeah, thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming as well.
Yeah, especially not feeling well, Charlotte.
You know,
thank you
for that sacrifice.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Bless you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Keep up that beautiful smile. And if I ever manage to dig a hole in my wall and put in a window, I'll let you know.
you only dig that window, make that window if you want it, Di.
Yeah.
Don't be forced to.
Yeah.
And when you are comfortable,
Yeah.
you know, you would also make a beautiful wife. So, you know,
Yeah.
be a blessing. Don't, give whoever's out there the blessing that you are, that you are. So
Yeah.
be mindful of that too.
Yeah.
I
I
will.
just wanted to say
Guys,
thank you, everybody. It was really fantastic. And you guys are just so funny. I just loved it. You just made it. You just made it so funny. And there are just so many takeaways. And that last takeaway from you, Colleen, from your mum, if in doubt, leave it out.
Oh,
I mean,
love it.
That's going to be it, because I've made so many decisions regarding relationships when there was a little bit of doubt there, but I persevered. But now that's it. 2022.
Aye.
If in doubt, leave it out.
that's
And
it.
that block and what
Block and chop. Was it
Yeah,
block and
block and
chop,
chop.
honey?
Chop and block, honey.
Chop
Chop
and
and block. Don't even look back, and just keep your head straight as well. I don't even look back.
Focus,
I wanna keep it
focus.
straight.
No, they're right.
Respectfully.
Bible says
But,
that.
but one thing I
Yeah.
will say, is I don't ghost people, because
Yeah.
I read an
Yeah.
article on the psychological effects of ghosting. I used to ghost, but I don't.
No.
I actually have an explanation. Like, listen,
Yes.
you're a lovely person. I hope you find what you're looking for.
That is it.
We're not,
Gotta
it's not,
maintain
and that's it.
kindness.
And have a nice conversation.
Yeah.
And then chop and block. That's it.
Yes.
Done.
So
Yes.
thank you.
Peaceful.
Nice chop and block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Respectfully.
Thank you all.
always.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. And
Thank
I
you
love
guys so
your
much.
smile, and I
Thank
really
you.
love your humor, and it's just been very, very insightful. So thank you so much, and
Thank you
see you
so
soon,
much.
Colleen.
Take
And I
care.
look
Yes.
forward to, meeting you. And I really need to get a copy of that book. I
Yes.
will.
Do.
Colleen, you and I will.
Yeah, we'll
make
talk,
some-
guys. Yes.
Because you know where I live, you can just drop
Yes.
it off. Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool.
We'll talk.
Okay.
We'll talk for sure.
Okay,
Thank
cheers.
you.
Nice to meet every
I
other
think
single
Tanisha-
woman on the call too.
Yeah. Tamisha's left a comment. Tamisha, do you want to speak, or do you want to read it out?
Tamisha, you want to read it out?
No, okay. I have to say that it's been a truly insightful discussion. I'm grateful for the opportunity to sit in. So thank you
Awesome.
for coming, Tamisha. Excellent.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. So if there's no other comments, we will just have our final words. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's any. I just want to say thank you, really.
Yeah, for
just for
coming.
coming and taking the time. Obviously, this is our first of many
Mhm.
love talks, and we have some things planned for you. So
Yeah.
stay tuned to our Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. I'm not the Instagrammy, YouTubey person. That's all Sherridean stuff. So I'll let her give you all those details shortly. But our book was a labor of love. We wrote it in the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic. Something that really just came out of our hearts, really, in terms of wanting to, I don't know, just to give the word, but in a different way, and to
encourage.
women, and to encourage and to empower, and to, really just connect with the Lord.
Yeah.
We've been told that the Bible's out of date. It's no longer relevant. It's not useful. But the Word of God is true. It doesn't change. It's forever faithful. And for me, as a relatively new Christian, I can't fault the Word. My life has just changed so much by being, having a relationship with God, in terms of my own self-development, in terms of how I raise my son, how I am as a person, as a friend, as a colleague. It's just transformed my life inside out, really.
Yeah.
Obviously used to live in London and came to Barbados, and there was lots of a big, shift and change culturally and personally. And, having found God and having that relationship with God, I can't sing it, shout it, dance it enough. Honest to God, it really has transformed my life. So I wanted to share that, and we did that through the book and through, things that we've got planned with Love Talk. So I really hope that you will continue to walk with us in this journey, And we're here to support you also, you know, in your journeys, whatever your journeys may be, whether it is to come to Christ as a full-fledged Christian, or it's just, you know, you just want more information, or you just want to just join us. It doesn't matter. But we hope to, you know, expand and hope that you will continue to be with us in this journey. So just once again, ladies, thank you so much for coming, for interacting, and for the support. So thank you.
Yeah, and I want you to really, and I mean, I extend that same gratitude together with Colleen, and I want us to really continue this ongoing connection. So if you are on Instagram, you just need to look for Encounter. And when you go on there, you're going to see our book. The book, you're going to see the woman, so you can't go wrong. Yeah, I can show you it.
And you have it in the background. If you move to that,
Yeah.
that the other
So-
side. Yeah.
But you see the woman there. If you go there, you're going to, you know, you're going to find.
Can't see
Can
the light.
you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's what you're looking at. You go for
Picture of the book.
Encounter Bible Studies, and that's where we are at. Or you can go on Facebook, look for Encounter, look for the same picture, and we are right there. Once you join, you'll be in touch with any events that are happening. If you want to find out more about us, you can go look for Encounter, the same website page at the bottom. With the link that you would have received today, you can go in there. And in there, you can even, if you want to get a book online, you will see the link for Amazon. It's right there conveniently. So you just click on it and it carries you straight to Amazon. So stay in touch, find out even when we have gifts available. We have so many things. Go to our website. If you go to our website, you connect with everything. All right, so again, I mean, yes, we wrote this book, but you know what, having you here to share, to ask questions, to put your input, give your input in there, makes the whole experience even richer. And I pray that God will bless you, God will strengthen your heart so that you will continue to grow and glow, and that God will continue to wisen you in your decision. He will enlighten you. Your spirit of discernment will even be sharper than ever before, and that God will continue to grow into his purpose. Purpose is very important. It's because of purpose Christ went on Calvary. He said, it's not my will, but thy will be done. And in every decision that we ever make, God's will must always be done. So I release that anointing on your life, on our lives, that we'll continue to walk in harmony with God. We will not look to the left nor to the right. We will not compromise, but we'll continue to obey, listen to him. And at the end of the day, hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Bless you.
Take care, guys. See you later.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Get it? Mhm.